My name is Natalie King, and I'm 35. I don't say that like it's a fun fact. I say it like it's a timestamp, because some moments split your life into before and after, and you never get to be the same person again. That day started like any other. Fluorescent lights, half-warm coffee, a calendar reminder I kept snoozing because I didn't feel like being productive in a world that constantly demanded proof I deserved to exist in it. I was at work when my phone buzzed. One vibration, then another. I glanced down, expecting a dumb meme from my boyfriend, Ryan Walsh, or a "What do you want for dinner?" text that I'd answer with a shrug emoji. Instead, it was a photo, and my stomach dropped so hard I swear I felt it hit the floor. It was my car. Not just a car, my 1969 Mustang. Cherry red, original body lines. The kind of car people stop you at gas stations to talk about like it's a celebrity. But in the photo, it looked like a corpse. The entire front end was smashed into a concrete pillar in our apartment's parking garage. The grille was gone, metal buckled like crushed ribs, the hood folded upward like it had tried to scream and couldn't. For a second, I forgot how to breathe, because that Mustang wasn't just my ride. It was my uncle's laugh in a greasy garage. It was late nights with a radio playing old rock songs while we argued about carburetors. It was the last project we touched together before cancer took him fast and ugly. 3 years I'd spent restoring it. 3 years of scraped knuckles and burnt skin and pride. I stared at the image until my eyes stung. Then a second message popped up beneath it. "Oops, you need to buy me a new one or we're done." I read it once. Twice. The grief I'd felt, hot and panicked, turned into something colder, quieter, like a switch flipping in the dark, because I knew what he meant. Ryan didn't want me to replace the Mustang. He wanted the brand new Lexus SUV we'd been fighting about for a month. The kind he'd been sending me links to at midnight, like they were love letters. The kind he'd pointed at in traffic and said, "See, if you loved me, you'd want us to have that." He wasn't mourning the car. He was holding it hostage. And that realization didn't make me cry. It made me still. I typed back one word. "Okay." Not because I agreed, because I wanted him calm enough to keep talking. People like Ryan always think the loudest person wins. They don't recognize the danger of someone who stops arguing. My fingers didn't shake. I screenshotted the entire conversation, photo, message, his smug little ultimatum, and immediately opened my email. My insurance agent's name is Frank Donnelly. Frank has handled my family's insurance forever. He knew my parents. He knew my uncle. He'd come by the garage more than once while I was restoring the Mustang and stood there admiring it like it was a museum piece. He loved that car. I typed the subject line. Claim inquiry, 1969 Mustang. Then I attached the screenshot and hit send. Only after it left my outbox did I realize my heart was pounding. Like my body had finally caught up to the fact that something enormous had just happened, and I'd responded with a single polite word. I called Frank right after. He picked up on the second ring. "Hey, Nat, what's going on?" "Frank," I said, keeping my voice level like I was discussing a leak under the sink. "Did you get my email?" "Yeah, I'm opening it now." I heard mouse clicks, then silence, long enough that my skin started buzzing with dread. And then Frank muttered, so low I almost didn't hear it, "Jesus Christ." His voice came back sharper, heavier. "Is this a joke?" "I wish it was." I swallowed, forced air into my lungs. "It's in the garage," I said. "Level P2, spot 47. He has a key. It had to be today." Frank exhaled hard, one of those sighs that sounds like someone who's spent decades watching people ruin their own lives. "Okay," he said. "Here's the deal. I'm filing the claim, but this isn't going through like normal." I blinked. "What do you mean?" "That text," Frank said. "That isn't just boyfriend drama. That's evidence. It's basically a written confession to vandalism and attempted extortion." My throat tightened around the word extortion. Frank kept going, voice grim. "This is going to our Special Investigations Unit, SIU. They handle fraud, arson, everything that involves people being aggressively stupid." I didn't laugh. I couldn't. He told me what would happen next. An investigator assigned. A formal statement from me. A forensic team. Security footage pulled from the garage. Then Frank's tone changed. He got serious in a way that made my spine go straight. "Listen to me," he said. "Do not talk to him. Don't answer texts. Don't answer calls. Let SIU do their thing." My eyes drifted to the office window. The normal world kept moving. People walked outside with coffees and backpacks like nobody's life was collapsing. Frank continued, "And you need to go stay somewhere else for a while. This is going to blow up. You don't want to be nearby when it does." My mouth felt dry. "I can go to my parents' place," I said. "They're on a cruise." "Good," Frank said immediately. Good, keep your head down. I hung up and just sat there. It felt unreal. I hadn't screamed, I hadn't cried, I hadn't confronted him. All I'd done was forward an email. And somehow, that small action had turned my personal heartbreak into something official, something with case numbers and investigators and consequences. My phone buzzed again. A text from Ryan. Where are you? Are you going to the Lexus dealer or what? Answer me. I stared at the screen. I thought of my uncle's hands guiding mine as I tightened bolts for the first time, saying, Nat, never build something you can't defend. So I did the next thing. I left. I drove to my parents' empty house, and as soon as I stepped inside, I didn't collapse or sob the way people do in movies. I got methodical. The first call I made was to my apartment building's property manager. A man named Mr. Henderson answered with that bored, irritated tone people use when they assume you're about to complain about noise again. Hi, Mr. Henderson, I said, calm as glass. I have a domestic situation. My partner Ryan Walsh will be moving out. He's not on the lease, but he has a key. I need the locks changed tonight. There was a pause. Then the expected pushback. We usually require 48 hours notice for... I understand, I cut in, polite but firm, but he just caused several $1,000s of damage in the parking garage. I'm worried he'll come after the apartment next. That got his attention. His voice changed. Damage? Yes. Another pause. Paper shuffling. His brain switching tracks from tenant inconvenience to liability. All right, he said. I'll have maintenance meet you there. Gus can do it tonight. I thanked him, hung up, and stared at the quiet hallway of my parents' house. The silence felt like a held breath. Outside, the sky was turning late afternoon gray. And somewhere in that city, Ryan was probably pacing, rehearsing his next threat, convinced I was about to cave. My phone buzzed again. Another message, sharper this time. Don't play games with me, Natalie. I didn't respond. I put my phone on silent. Because the truth was, I wasn't playing. I was building a file. And Ryan had no idea what happens when you corner someone who finally stops being afraid. The drive back to the apartment felt like I was moving through someone else's life. The streets were the same. The lights changed on schedule. People crossed at the walk signal like nothing in the universe had shifted. But I was different. I kept hearing Frank's voice in my head. Do not talk to him. Keep your head down. And beneath that, my uncle's, never build something you can't defend. By the time I pulled into the garage, my throat felt tight, like grief and fury had braided themselves together and lodged there. Level P2. Spot 47. Even from a distance, I could see the Mustang slumped against the pillar like it had given up. The concrete was scraped and marked with fresh paint. Bits of my front bumper glittered on the ground like broken teeth. I didn't go closer. I didn't touch it. I didn't let myself do the human thing. Cry, shake, fall apart. Because if I let myself feel it now, I'd lose the thread of the only thing keeping me upright. Control. I parked on the opposite side of the garage and waited. Gus showed up first. Maintenance uniform, tool bag swinging from one hand, face already tired. You Natalie? He asked. Yes. He glanced at the garage spot like he could sense the damage without even seeing it. Henderson said it's urgent. It is. He didn't ask questions. Guys like Gus have spent their whole lives learning when not to. We rode the elevator up in silence. When the doors opened, the hallway smelled like someone's curry dinner and lemon cleaner. My apartment door looked normal. That's what killed me about it. From the outside, it looked like nothing had happened. Like no one had tried to turn my grief into a bargaining chip. Gus knelt by the lock and got to work. Metal scraped, tools clinked. He whistled once, soft and tuneless, then stopped like he realized whistling didn't fit the moment. You want a new deadbolt too? He asked without looking up. Yes, I said immediately. Everything. He nodded. Smart. When he finished, he handed me 2 fresh keys, still warm from his pocket. There, he said. He's not getting in with the old one. A relief hit me so hard my knees almost loosened. Not because I felt safe. Because for the first time since the photo, I felt like I'd taken 1 square inch of my life back. Gus pulled out a little handheld device and printed a receipt. He tore it off, then paused. You want the timestamp? He asked. I looked at him. He didn't say it like I was weird. He said it like he understood exactly what kind of night this was. Yes, I said. He hit a button, the paper word. $150, 7:32 p.m. I took it like it was gold and slid it into my purse. Another piece of paper for the file. I left the apartment immediately after. I didn't stay. I didn't wait for Ryan to show up. I didn't give him a chance to corner me in the hallway and make this a screaming match he could twist into a story. I went straight back to my parents' house. And that's when the texts really started. At first, it was the impatient kind of rage. Where are you? Lexus dealer closes at 9. Natalie, answer me. Then the sharp edge. Don't make me come find you. This is my relationship too. Then the shift. The moment entitlement realizes it's losing its grip. Why aren't you answering? Stop being dramatic. It's just a car. That one made my hands go cold. It's just a car. 3 years of grease and paint. 3 years of my uncle's laughter. 3 years of something I could point to and say, we built this. Just a car. I stared at the messages until my eyes blurred, then placed my phone face down on the kitchen table like it was contaminated. I slept maybe 2 hours that night. Not because I couldn't, because some part of my body stayed alert, listening for a door that wasn't there, waiting for the sound of keys in a lock. The next morning, I woke up to a string of missed calls and a voicemail that arrived like a punch. I hit play. Ryan's voice came through, high and raw with fury. The key doesn't work. What did you do? Natalie, what the hell did you do? You can't kick me out. I'll call the landlord. I swear to God, I stopped it midway. Not because I was scared. Because I didn't want his voice in my head. I didn't want him to take up space in me without paying rent. An hour later, my phone rang again. Mr. Henderson. I answered on the second ring. Ms. King, he said, and he sounded like a man with a headache already forming. I just got an earful from a Mr. Walsh. I sat at the kitchen table and kept my voice calm. He called you. He's saying you illegally evicted him, Henderson continued, irritated. He's claiming tenant rights. Says he has mail there. There it was. That was his angle. Ryan couldn't get what he wanted through threats, so now he was switching to rules, trying to make the law his new weapon. I exhaled slowly. Mr. Henderson, you have a copy of the lease. Yes. Section 4, subsection B, I said. I could practically see the words in my mind. I'd read that lease a dozen times when we moved in. The guest policy. Silence. Then papers flipping on his end. You are correct, Henderson said finally, his tone shifting from annoyed to resigned. He is not a tenant. He has no legal standing. Thank you, I said. I thought that would be the end of it. I should have known better. Because Ryan didn't just want back into the apartment. He wanted back into control. A little later, my phone rang again. This time it was my next-door neighbor, Mrs. Gable. She was a sweet old woman who always smelled like laundry detergent and peppermint candies. She'd once slipped me an extra package at Christmas and whispered, "You seem like you work too hard, dear." Now her voice was trembling. "Natalie," she said softly. "Dear, there's a man out here. He's screaming and banging on your door. He's been doing it for 10 minutes. I think he's trying to kick it down." My chest tightened so fast it was like my ribs got smaller. "I'm so sorry," I said immediately. "Mrs. Gable, I'm so sorry you're hearing that. Please lock your door." "I did," she whispered. He's angry." I closed my eyes. In my head, I could already picture him. Face red, veins standing out in his neck, fists slamming my door like it owed him something. And I felt something else too, something ugly. Not fear, not grief, a kind of bitter clarity. Ryan wasn't panicking because he lost a place to sleep. He was panicking because the door was the first boundary I'd ever enforced. "Mrs. Gable," I said, steady, "I am going to handle it. Please stay inside and don't open your door for anyone." I hung up and immediately called building security. "There's someone trying to break down my apartment door," I said. "He's been locked out. He's trespassing." Security asked for his description. I gave it. I did not say my boyfriend. I said a man. Because the moment you label him partner, people start treating his violence like a relationship issue. It wasn't. It was a threat. 10 minutes later, Henderson called me again. This time he wasn't annoyed. He was angry. "She wouldn't leave," he said. I blinked. "She?" He cleared his throat, embarrassed. "Sorry. He wouldn't leave. We had to call the cops to get him off the property." My pulse thudded. "He's been formally trespassed," Henderson continued. "If he comes back, he'll be arrested. I'm emailing you the notice." A second later, my phone chimed. A PDF in my inbox. Formal no trespass order. I opened it and stared at the words like they were proof I wasn't crazy. Proof I hadn't imagined the escalation. Proof this wasn't a fight between lovers. This was Ryan choosing violence because persuasion didn't work. And the second he was banned from the building, I knew he wouldn't stop. People like Ryan don't retreat when cornered. They pivot. I set the PDF aside and stared at the kitchen window, watching a bird hop along the fence like it didn't understand consequences. My phone buzzed again. Not a text from him this time. A message from my friend Liam. "Nat, check the group chat, right now." My stomach sank, because I already knew what I was about to see. When Ryan can't get into your home, he tries to get into your world. And the group chat was the perfect place to light a fire. I opened it, and there it was. A photo of my Mustang, wrecked, mangled, bleeding metal. Under it, Ryan's message. "I'm so shaken up, you guys. Some maniac in a truck hit me in the garage and took off. The Mustang is totaled. I tried to call Natalie, but she's ignoring me. I think she's just mad about the car. She totally abandoned me. I stared at the screen, cold creeping through my veins. Because he wasn't just lying. He was rewriting reality in real time. And the worst part? I could already see the comments loading beneath it. Friends reacting before they had facts, before they had context, before they even thought to ask me. I didn't type. I didn't defend myself in that chat. Not yet. I just stared at Ryan's words, and for the first time since this started, something in me whispered a warning. This isn't about the car anymore. It never was. It was about what happens when a man who's used to getting his way realizes the person he thought he owned just closed the door. And now he was coming for the next thing he could break. My name, my friendships, my life. I stared at the group chat for a full minute before I did anything. Not because I didn't know what to say, because I knew exactly what I shouldn't say. Ryan's message sat there, glowing softly on my screen like a trap. Every sentence was carefully designed. Helpless tone, passive voice, just enough implication to make me look cruel without outright accusing me of anything. Some maniac in a truck totally abandoned me. He wasn't just lying. He was auditioning. And judging by the replies stacking up beneath it, people were buying tickets. OMG, Ryan, are you okay? That's terrifying. Natalie seriously isn't answering you? Then came the reinforcement. His closest ally, Becca Miller, the kind of friend who treated loyalty like a weapon, jumped in hard. This is awful. I always said Natalie cared more about that stupid car than about you. My jaw clenched. That sentence wasn't new. Ryan had planted it months ago, in half jokes and side comments. She loves that thing more than me. Now it was blooming, fully formed, in public. I could feel the instinct to jump in, to explain, to correct, to defend. But that's exactly what he wanted. If I went in swinging, I'd look hysterical. If I went in calm, I'd look cold. There is no winning when you argue inside someone else's narrative. So I didn't. Instead, I did the one thing Ryan never expected from me. I created a new group chat. Just 3 people. Liam, Mark, Jen. I titled it, The Truth. No emojis, no explanation. My hands didn't shake when I opened the chat. I didn't type paragraphs. I didn't editorialize. I posted one image. The screenshot. The photo of my destroyed Mustang, with Ryan's text directly beneath it. Oops, you need to buy me a new one or we're done. That was it. Then I added one single line. It wasn't a hit and run, it was blackmail. The typing bubbles popped up immediately. Liam was first. Holy shit. Then Mark. Natalie, this is insane. Jen followed, blunt as always. Yeah, that's not a misunderstanding, that's a crime. I stared at those responses longer than I expected. Not because they were surprising. Because for the first time since this started, someone else saw reality the same way I did. Liam sent another message. I knew something was off. He was way too calm in the chat. Calm, I thought bitterly. Yes, because he thought he was winning. I didn't ask them to defend me publicly. I didn't tell them what to say. I just let the truth exist. And the truth did what it always does when you don't strangle it with panic. It spread, quietly, unevenly, but it spread. Meanwhile, Ryan kept performing. In the main group chat, he responded to the sympathy like a man soaking in warm water. Thanks, everyone. I just feel so alone right now. I can't believe she'd do this to me. Becca piled on. You deserve better, honestly. I watched it all unfold like I was observing a case study. And then, because apparently lying wasn't enough, they escalated. 2 days later, Liam texted me again. You're not going to like this. He attached a screenshot. It was a GoFundMe page. The title made my stomach twist. Help Ryan recover from traumatic hit and run. The description was a masterclass in fiction. Ryan was recently involved in a devastating accident when a reckless driver fled the scene. He's emotionally shattered, displaced, and struggling to rebuild his life. They were asking for $10,000. For therapy, for moving costs, for loss of transportation. I laughed. A sharp, humorless sound that startled me with its bitterness. They weren't just lying anymore. They were monetizing the lie. My phone buzzed again. Liam. People are donating. That was the moment something settled in my chest. A quiet certainty. I didn't need to argue. I didn't need to expose them myself. Because this wasn't just personal anymore. It was documented fraud. I opened my email and forwarded the GoFundMe link to Maria Sanchez, the SIU investigator. I'd given her my official statement that morning. She was sharp, efficient, the kind of woman who listened like she was already 5 steps ahead of you. My email was brief. This page is circulating. It appears to be soliciting funds based on false claims related to the incident under investigation. Her reply came less than an hour later. Thank you. This is now part of the investigation. Please be aware that soliciting funds under false pretenses may constitute wire fraud. We will handle this. I sat back in my chair and exhaled. The next day, the GoFundMe page was gone. Deleted. Erased. No announcement, no apology. Just vanished. They'd tried to turn sympathy into cash and accidentally added another felony to the pile. I thought maybe that would be the end. That the disappearance of the fundraiser, the quiet shift in the friend group, the mounting legal pressure would finally force Ryan to retreat. I underestimated his belief in one thing. Money fixes everything. That night, my phone rang from an unknown number. I answered, but not normally. I put it on speaker and tapped the record button. "Hello?" I said. A smooth, confident male voice filled the room. "Natalie, this is Mr. Walsh, Ryan's father." Of course it was. Men like him don't call to ask what happened. They call to negotiate reality. He chuckled lightly, like we were two adults smoothing over a misunderstanding at a country club. "Sounds like there's been a little situation," he said. "Ryan's pretty upset. Things got out of hand." I said nothing. Silence makes people uncomfortable. He rushed to fill it. "Look," he continued, "Ryan admits he might have overreacted. Kids do stupid things. How about we just clean this up?" There it was. The offer came wrapped in generosity. "I'll cut you a check," Mr. Walsh said. "Let's say $15,000. Cover the damages. Make it all go away." I pictured Ryan learning this tactic young. Break something, cry later, let Dad pay. "Mr. Walsh," I said, my voice flat, "I appreciate the offer, but no." He paused. "No? I can't stop this," I continued. "It's a formal fraud investigation now. It's out of my hands." I gave him the SIU case number, SIU 2023-44B7. "Your lawyer can look it up." The friendly tone evaporated. "Fraud?" he snapped. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the text your son sent me, admitting he destroyed my property and attempted to extort me," I said evenly. "And the fraudulent GoFundMe page. They're investigating all of it." The line went dead quiet. Then his voice came back, tight, angry. "You're ruining my son's life." "No," I said, and this time my voice hardened. "Your son is doing that himself. I'm just not letting him take me down with him." He started threatening me then. Legal action, reputational damage, consequences. I let him talk. Then I said, "This call is recorded. Don't contact me again." And I hung up. For a moment, I just sat there, phone still in my hand. I thought that had to be the end. Ryan was exposed. The money angle failed. The investigation was real. People don't usually double down when the walls start closing in. But Ryan wasn't done. Because if he couldn't control the story, if he couldn't buy silence, then he would try to destroy the one thing he knew I couldn't afford to lose: my career. 2 weeks later, I was in a video meeting at work when my boss David started texting me. "Call me, emergency." My heart dropped. I stepped out of the conference room and dialed his number. "Natalie," David said, his voice tight. "There's a man in the lobby, Ryan Walsh. He's screaming at the receptionist. He's saying you stole money from him and that you've been stalking him." The world tilted. Security, he said, was on the way. But the scene was already happening, loud, public, impossible to ignore. I worked at a wealth management firm. Our clients were high net worth individuals. Discretion wasn't just a value. It was oxygen. A screaming ex in the lobby wasn't a nuisance. It was a career-ending event. I grabbed my bag and ran. As I drove, my hands trembled for the first time since this all began. Not because I was unprepared, but because I knew this was the moment Ryan had been saving. And if I didn't end it cleanly, he would take everything. By the time I reached the office, the parking garage was already half full. I took the ramp too fast, tires whining, heart hammering so hard it felt like it was trying to punch its way out of my chest. I'd spent weeks preparing for fallout. Police reports, insurance investigators, evidence neatly labeled and filed. But this was the nightmare scenario. Because when someone attacks your job, they're not trying to hurt your feelings. They're trying to erase your future. I burst through the front doors just as 2 security guards were escorting Ryan toward the exit. His hair was disheveled, his eyes red, his shirt wrinkled like he'd slept in it, or worse, planned this all night. The receptionist looked like she was about to cry. The entire lobby had gone silent. Every head turned toward me. Ryan twisted around when he saw me, face contorting into something wild. "There she is," he shouted. "That's her. She stole from me. She's been stalking me for weeks. Show them the texts, Natalie. Show them." I didn't stop walking. I didn't respond. I didn't even look at him. Because the moment you acknowledge a performance, you validate it. Security pushed him through the doors, his voice still echoing behind him. And then, just like that, he was gone. But the damage wasn't. The office felt frozen. People avoided my eyes. Some stared openly, some whispered. I was ushered straight into the main conference room. My boss, David, sat at the head of the table. Beside him were Cynthia from HR and Mr. Abernathy, the firm's senior partner. They didn't look angry. They looked grave, like people about to decide whether you still belonged. Sit, Mr. Abernathy said quietly. I did. Explain, he continued, folding his hands. Everything. This was the moment. Not to argue, not to plead. To prove. I reached into my bag and pulled out a slim, professionally bound folder. White cover, clean spine. I'd spent $100 at a print shop because I knew that if this day came, presentation would matter. I placed it gently on the polished table. 3 weeks ago, my now ex-boyfriend, Ryan Walsh, intentionally destroyed my private property in an attempt to extort a vehicle from me, I began. I opened the folder. The first page was a high-resolution print of the photo Ryan had sent me. The Mustang crushed against concrete. The next page was the screenshot. Oops, you need to buy me a new one or we're done. I didn't summarize. I didn't paraphrase. I showed. I walked them through everything in a calm, factual voice. The call with my insurance agent, the SIU referral, the police report number, the $150 emergency lock change invoice, time-stamped. The formal no trespass order after police removed him from my apartment building. Screenshots of his false story in the group chat, the GoFundMe page soliciting money under false pretenses. And finally, the SIU case number, SIU 2224B7. Ryan Walsh is currently the subject of an active, multifaceted felony investigation, I said, looking directly at Mr. Abernathy, including insurance fraud, attempted extortion, and potential wire fraud. Silence, the kind that presses against your ears. His appearance here today was not random, I continued. It was retaliation, a calculated attempt to damage my career because legal consequences are now closing in. Cynthia leaned forward, flipping through the pages. This is not a domestic issue, she said firmly. This is documented harassment by an external party. Mr. Abernathy picked up the printed screenshot and read it once. Then again, he set it down slowly. We'll handle this, he said. Cynthia, have legal draft a cease and desist and criminal trespass notice. Send it today. Courier. He looked at me. Go home, Natalie. We'll manage internal communications. Relief hit me so hard my legs felt weak. They believed me. Not because I begged, but because I came prepared. A month later, Frank called. It's over, he said. The forensics team had pulled the garage footage. Ryan getting into my Mustang, revving the engine for 30 seconds, then flooring it straight into the pillar. No ambiguity. The DA had the file. Charges were coming. 2 weeks after that, my phone rang again. It was Ryan. I answered, just to hear the end. He was sobbing. They're charging me, he gasped. Felonies. I could go to prison. I need a lawyer, Natalie. Please, you have to help me. I let him cry. Then I said quietly, you should have thought about that before you sent the text. I hung up. Blocked his number. Blocked his father's. Blocked Becca's. Some losses are expensive. But some doors, once closed, give you your life back. The house was quiet when it finally happened. Not the fragile quiet that follows a fight. Not the tense quiet where you're waiting for the next impact. This was different. This was the quiet that settles after the storm has already torn through everything it could reach. A month had passed since Ryan was escorted out of my office lobby, since my firm's legal team sent out letters heavy with consequences and finality, since the SIU stopped asking questions, because they didn't need to anymore. Frank called me on a Tuesday afternoon. His voice was steady, professional. But there was something else underneath it. Closure. They finished the forensics, he said. Pulled the full security footage from the garage. I closed my eyes. They've got him on camera. Clear as day. Getting into the Mustang. Revving the engine for 30 seconds, then driving it straight into the pillar. I pictured it involuntarily. The sound, the intent. No accident, Frank continued. No ambiguity. The district attorney has the file now. They're charging him with everything. I thanked him and hung up. The insurance company cut me a check a week later. It was a big number. Enough to buy another classic. Enough to start over. But when I held it in my hands, it felt hollow. It couldn't replace the smell of oil and paint. The sound of my uncle laughing when I stripped a bolt. The pride of bringing something broken back to life with patience and care. It was just money. 2 weeks after that, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I stared at it for a long time before answering. Not because I was afraid. Because I already knew who it was. Natalie? Ryan's voice cracked instantly. Please don't hang up. He was crying. Not performative crying. Not the kind meant for sympathy. This was panic. Raw, unguarded. I got a letter from the DA, he sobbed. They're charging me with felonies. They said I could go to prison. I need a lawyer. I don't know what to do. You have to help me, please. There was no arrogance left, no entitlement, no belief that he could still twist the situation in his favor. Just a man who had finally run out of angles. I listened, not because I owed him comfort, but because I wanted to hear what accountability sounded like when it arrived uninvited. I didn't think it would go this far, he cried. I thought you'd just give in. I didn't mean for it to blow up like this. That was the truth, slipping out at last. He never thought about consequences, only outcomes. I waited until he ran out of words. Then I spoke. Ryan, I said, my voice calm and empty, you should have thought about that before you sent the text. Silence. I hung up. I blocked his number. Then I blocked his father's. Then Becca's. Not dramatically, not angrily. Just deliberately. Weeks passed. Then months. My job stabilized. My name recovered. The whispers stopped. I still miss the Mustang. I always will. But some losses teach you something more valuable than what they take. They teach you what it costs to stay silent, what it costs to give in, and what it costs to finally say no and mean it. I didn't win. I survived. And for the first time in a long time, that was enough.